Hello everyone, this is Nick Nat Packer coming to you live from Virginia Beach, Virginia with my video log for Vampire Diaries Season 3, Episode 3, The End of the Affair. Sorry, this is coming a little late. I was at work on Thursday, so I had to rewatch it Friday. Anyway, The End of the Affair. What to say? What to say? Well, as I suspected, things for Stefan are slowly going from bad to worse. I had an idea that he was going to go downhill quick, and it seems like it's going that direction. I knew that there was a level to his nastiness just when Alaric and Damon found that house in Tennessee with the body parts and the head rolling off, all that stuff. But in the flashback sequences, what he did to that man's wife and what he made that man do under compulsion, it was plain sick. What was worse was that he didn't compel the man to just, he didn't compel him to not care. The man was still revulsed when he was doing this. He still had fear. The wife, she was compelled to not have any fear, to not care, to not know pain. He slit her wrist with a knife and she didn't even care. At least he could have always given the man that much, and he didn't. This is a new level of low, even for Stefan. And I would hope after this episode, if there is any doubt left in your mind, or anybody's mind, that Damon is still the worser brother, you've got to be kidding. Yes, I've seen Damon do some pretty nasty things to people, but I've never seen him go that far. That shows a sense of sick depravity. I mean, the apartment says enough. A whole back room filled with names, name upon name upon name, of the hundreds, thousands of people that he's murdered. That's the sickest part, is that he has to have the names there because he feels so guilty that he has to have them in front of his face every day. Because it's the only way that he can cope, is to be reminded every second of the depraved things that he's done to people. And I don't know if you all noticed, but the first name on that list was Giuseppe Salvatore, because that was the first person that he ever killed. Anyway, starting at the beginning, loved the first thing in the morning scene with Elena. You'd think by now that she would have gotten to the point where him showing up in her room unexpected like that is no longer a surprise. It was actually kind of cute, the way that he was there, and I couldn't help the little smile on my face with that. It was kind of romantic in a way, very Damon, to do something like that. And I wish she would stop acting like she was so surprised, because he's in her room almost every day. When she's in her room, anyway. So, Catherine back in the picture. What her motivations are, not sure. But she clues Damon in on the idea that he is in Chicago. And, I don't know if you all have noticed this, but I'm starting to see a pattern with Damon. He claims that if there was any point in time where he and his brother were in the same area, that it was just a coincidence. But I don't think that it is anymore. I think Damon was actively watching him for all of the 150 plus years. I think he was following him. He might have stayed out of his way. And yes, there might genuinely have been some times where they were in the same place and really didn't know. I mean, Chicago's a big place. But there is more instances than not where Damon absolutely knew where Stefan was. He might not have necessarily known what Stefan was doing, but he knew where he was. So he was definitely keeping tabs. I don't know if that was because he just felt like he needed to know where Stefan was, or if it was because he genuinely cared and he wanted to make sure Stefan was okay. Or maybe it was just his way of being able to avoid him. I don't know. Because he was saying that, yeah, he knew that Stefan was around. He might not necessarily know who he was palling around with, but, it was a big enough city that as long as he knew where Stefan was hanging, he could avoid him at all costs. He could go do his own thing without Stefan getting in the way. But yet he kept saying, I wanted to make sure where he was so that I could make him suffer, but he never really did. Or at least not in those instances. I would love to know what Stefan means by how he spent 150 years trying to make him suffer, because it seemed like all he did was spend 150 years avoiding him. So, big thing here. Stefan knew Klaus beforehand. Dun dun dun. Apparently, they met in the 1920s in Chicago in a speakeasy ran by a powerful witch called Gloria. I like her. She's a cool character. I hope she doesn't get killed. Are you guys noticing that all the witches in this show tend to be... I'm not trying to be racist here at all. I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying it follows a pattern. Are there any none? Or are they all... I don't know. Anyway, she's extremely powerful. She is strong enough and confident enough in herself that she could easily put Klaus in his place like that without fear, even knowing that he could kill her within like 5 seconds. And yet it seems like Klaus is intimidated by her in a way that he wasn't intimidated by the other witches in the show, like Gretchen and Luca and Bonnie. He didn't seem to care much about their powers. I don't think he believed that they were that powerful. He knows that Gloria is. Gloria has obviously been around for a long time, probably even longer than even before the 1920s. He knows exactly what she's capable of, and he knows not to mess with her. So when she asks him, or no, basically tells him, you either do this or you get nothing. He wants answers. He wants to know why he wasn't able to turn all the werewolves into hybrids. And it's fairly obvious. It's because Elaine is not dead. That was what was necessary, and Stefan is trying to keep that secret from him as much as possible. Okay, there's a couple things I wanted to address. I was on like the Diaries.net forums, and a lot of people were like, how could she be standing there, right there, like 2 seconds away in that little cubby room, and him not know? I mean, he's an original. How could he not sense that she was there? Well, he knew that someone had been there. But like Stefan had said, and I have to agree with a couple of people that brought this up, the place has been around 80, 90 years probably, even longer. I'm guessing it survived the Great Chicago Fire. People have probably lived in there on and off for decades. Homeless people probably squatted in there. God only knows. I mean, it's been... Even for an original, to be able to tell the difference between scents of people, that many people over that many decades, is very difficult. Although, there is one thing that I have to bring up. Their hearing is acute, and there is no way on God's green earth that he could not have detected her heartbeat, because I guarantee it was probably beating a mile a minute. How he managed to not to detect that, I'm not sure. Maybe he was just too distracted. I don't know. But there was a split, just the splittest second there. Just the splittest. When I honestly believed, that Stefan was going to give her up. Because the look on his face when he saw her was like a mixture of shock, sadness, regret, and worst of all, lust. And it wasn't lust for sex either. It was part of him that was looking her up and down like she was meat. And he actually had to stand there for like 5 seconds, more than that, like 30 seconds, and decide in his brain. You could see how it was twisting in his mind. Should I give her up? Should I not? Should I eat her? Should I not? And this is Elena. I'm talking about Elena here. And she has this like little sad smile on her face, like, I'm so happy to see you, but you gotta protect me, blah, blah, blah. Or, please don't let him hurt me. I'm like, are you freaking kidding? You should be more scared of him in front of your face. The only reason that he hasn't jumped her yet is because he's exercising the extremest amount of control I've ever seen. This is another thing about Elena. Love the girl to death. Really, I do. Jesus! Denial? Anyone? Like, in this most severest form? I understand that she loves him and she wants to save him. But there's a point at which you have just got to realize that some people are beyond saving. And you know what? It's kind of hard for me to judge because I've always believed that Damon was not beyond saving. And obviously, he's not, because he's changed such a great deal. And if you could save Damon, how could you not save him? But they're on two totally different calibers. Totally different calibers. Damon was like the party guy. He loves to have fun and just, be reckless. Stefan is psychotic. Psychotic. The only reason he hasn't gone on a complete killing spree is because he's stuck with Stefan. He's stuck with Klaus. He doesn't even want to be around Klaus. Yes, they were friends. But Stefan doesn't remember. Klaus took the memory of meeting him and meeting Rebecca, his sister, away so that he would not know about it and would only know about it at a time in which Klaus believed he needed to know. What to say? I think he did this because he wanted Stefan to stay away from Rebecca. Thing is, Klaus has always believed that he's had absolute control over his entire family. And they do what he says. He says jump, they say how high. Because he is the eldest, he's the hybrid, the most powerful, blah, blah, blah. I saw that abject look of shock on his face when she chose Stefan instead of him. I think that was the first time ever that anyone had actually bucked his authority. That's why he got mad. He likes to keep his family under lock and key. So he staked her. One small inconsistency. Klaus distinctly said, and I'm not sure if it was the last episode of season 2 or the next to last, he told Elijah that he would tell him where he was keeping the members of their family. Because he said he had spread them out all over the world. Obviously, that is not true. Because they're all in coffins in frickin' Chicago. So I don't know if Klaus was lying to throw Elijah off the scent, but it wouldn't have mattered if he lied or not. He'd stake him anyway. I don't know if that's just an inconsistency on the writer's part or what, but so now we know where all of the originals are. Jeez, Stefan can easily go and wake them up if he really wanted to. Hell, even Damon could. So, Stefan, Klaus make friends in the 1920s in Chicago. They have this kind of brotherhood going on. Stefan, it feels like Klaus is more of a brother to him than his own brother. Because he's in a mindset where, they're in the same frame of mind. But then it all comes crashing down because some cops that were in the know about vampires. And here's another little question here. Who is this person that they're running from? End part 1.